This is a residential compound that is 15 years old. This one is 20 years old, and this compound is already more than 35 years old. 35 years ago, being able to live in a high-rise with an elevator could be considered a symbol of status. But what about now? The greenery is almost zero. The exterior walls are cracked and leaking. Of the two elevators, only one is still operating. The other has been completely shut down. The shared area ratio is so large it makes homeowners' hearts ache. Has your community encountered such troubling issues? A residential compound completed in 2008, after only 15 years of occupancy, had to collectively replace its elevators, with each household required to contribute 21,000 yuan. A luxury benchmark project completed in 2010 saw large sections of its exterior insulation layer fall off, with repair costs as high as 500 yuan per square meter. The homeowners group chat exploded. Some calculated expenses, some complained, and then some could not help but ask, can these homes really last until the 70-year property rights expire? Do not think this is an isolated example. Similar maintenance crises are unfolding in high-rise communities across the country. This is not an accidental inconvenience, but a structural risk inherent in high-rise housing, and a hidden danger that every urban middle-class family must be alert to in asset allocation over the next decade. The homeowners here probably never imagined that the house they once purchased at a high price with a mortgage would now resemble a real-life vertical slum. This is Bangang Garden, located at the border of Dongguan and Shenzhen. The community was built in 1993. It promised 70-year property rights. Yet, after just over 30 years, the exterior walls are peeling everywhere, dilapidated and worn out, and the environment is beyond description. The once proud garden community now looks like a high-rise slum. Seeing this scene is truly heartbreaking. It is hard to imagine what today's 30-plus story residential complexes will look like decades from now. People are gradually realizing that the high-rise elevator apartments, once fiercely competed for as a high-end housing model, may be quietly heading toward a different fate. On one hand, there are the heavy costs brought by time. So after more than a decade of living in elevator buildings, elevators and electrical equipment begin to age, and the living experience deteriorates. The core logic must be clarified. The lifespan of a house is never determined by how long reinforced concrete can last. What truly determines living quality are the elevators, water pipes, electrical wiring, and fire protection systems. Economically speaking, these facilities have a very clear life cycle of 15 to 20 years. China's high-rise housing boom began after 2000, which means that by 2030, a collective aging period of high-rise housing will arrive. At that time, elevators will frequently break down, parking garages will leak like waterfalls, and exterior tiles will fall like rain. Some may say, if the house is broken, just repair it. But things are not so simple. Most communities start with inadequate maintenance funds. When repair bills reach millions or even tens of millions of yuan, so the money often cannot cover half, and property managers say the funds are already depleted. In some 33-story buildings, elevators have been shut down for months, forcing residents to climb stairs daily. Fundraising from homeowners becomes the only option, triggering disputes over who should pay more. Long-term residents, lower floor owners, or landlords of vacant units. Arguments drag on, repairs remain partial, and safety risks persist. A demolition is unrealistic. Compensating 700 to 800 households in a 30-story building would cost hundreds of millions of yuan before reconstruction even begins, leaving developers no profit margin. The result for many aging high-rises is clear: endless repairs, unsellable units, and no viable path to rebuild. More noteworthy is that even insiders in the construction industry are quietly avoiding risks. In recent years, several large construction groups have reduced or avoided pure residential projects above 30 stories. Risk assessment reports have long indicated that ultra-high-rise residential buildings carry extremely high life-cycle operational risks, and few are willing to take on the mess in later stages. When developers and contractors are avoiding such projects, Ordinary buyers attracted by wide views and grandeur need to be especially cautious. In reality, do not expect someone to cover these risks. And many fantasize that government urban renewal or insurance will cover losses, but urban renewal resources prioritize old factory housing with complex property rights and historical issues. Commercial residential communities are generally not covered. Property insurance usually excludes damage caused by natural aging. Ultimately, maintenance costs fall on homeowners themselves. Increasingly, people avoid high-rise living for safety and convenience reasons. In a 20 or 30-story building, in case of fire or earthquake and elevator shutdown, residents can only rely on stairs. The higher the floor, the longer the escape time and the greater the difficulty of external rescue. In contrast, residents of low-rise buildings can reach ground-level safety zones more quickly. In the past, people envied the good views of high-rises. Now they are reassessing the risks. Another factor is the hidden cost of shared areas. In multi-story buildings, shared area ratios are usually 10% to 15%, while high-rise elevator buildings often reach 25% to 30%. Buying a nominal 100 square meter apartment may yield only a little over 70 square meters of usable space. With the same budget, the actual space is smaller. More importantly, property management fees and heating fees are calculated based on gross floor area, and meaning homeowners continuously pay for invisible and unusable space. The psychological gap is significant. Some bloggers have stated that high-rise housing may gradually evolve into vertical slums after 20 years. This is not alarmist. One reason is excessive population density. Some popular communities reportedly house up to 600,000 residents, where people enjoy only 3 hours of sunlight per day on average. Elevators during rush hour are more crowded than subways. And public facilities are severely overloaded, leading quickly to serious aging. Recently in Yunnan, elevator accidents have occurred. On July 10, 2025, in Kunming, an elevator malfunction caused the death of a 59-year-old homeowner. The elevator car shot from the 17th floor to the 33rd floor in 55 seconds. The owner repeatedly pressed buttons in an attempt to save himself, but failed. The elevator was manufactured by Otis Elevator Company, and the last maintenance had been conducted on the same day. On the other hand, if many units are converted to rentals, property fees become difficult to sustain, public resources are more easily damaged, and phenomena such as garbage piling in corridors and green belts being used as temporary workspaces have already become common in some communities in Shanghai that are less than 20 years old. This signals that without long-term planning and management, the decline of high-rise housing is almost inevitable. A blogger recently visited an old high-rise community and recorded what he saw. Looking up, he suddenly noticed water pouring down from above without knowing why. Electric scooters were parked randomly everywhere, with no charging facilities. Scooters were even parked above unit entrances. Corridor walls were completely damaged. Fire escape passages were filled with drying clothes. Advertisements were plastered everywhere. Vehicles were parked in corridors. At the elevator entrance, there was a pungent and unpleasant smell. The property notice clearly stated that urination and defecation were prohibited, yet the surrounding environment remained extremely poor. Inside the elevator, there was a strong smell of smoke, and the elevator shook noticeably during operation, making him feel afraid in the confined space. But he mentioned that a colleague had previously been trapped in this elevator and experienced great distress. He said that Sunshine Garden began delivering units in 2015, and nearly 10 years have passed. The community notice showed that elevator replacement work had already started in 2024. A community less than 10 years old had already begun large-scale elevator replacement using special funds, prompting reflection on why many believe future high-rises may become slums. As industry insiders suggest that high-rise elevator apartments occupied for more than 10 years should be sold as soon as possible while someone is willing to take over. Such properties are already difficult to circulate in the market. They may even sell for less than walk-up buildings of the same age. In the future, more such communities will appear. High-rises over 20 years old have already become hot potatoes in the second-hand and foreclosure markets. Selling cheaply does not guarantee buyers. Insufficient maintenance funds, equipment barely sustained, building quality declines, and property prices shrink further. The mortgage system also reflects potential real estate risks. In China, banks commonly set mortgage terms at 30 years, not arbitrarily, but considering the realistic lifespan of buildings. You may think the house will still be yours after 70 years, but the average lifespan of Chinese housing is only about 25 years. The first generation of commercial housing in Shenzhen became hazardous buildings after 35 years, with renovation costs exceeding the down payment. Why design 30-year mortgages? Because banks know buildings may not last that long. A 500,000 yuan down payment plus a 1.5 million yuan loan equals 20 years of youth, hesitation to have children, and fear of unemployment. Lose your job and the house is foreclosed, leaving you working for the bank for a decade in vain. Yes, looking at the broader property market, since 2022, China's real estate market has resembled a train that suddenly eased off the accelerator, slowing down and losing direction. Second- and third-tier cities adjusted first, followed by first-tier cities. National average housing prices have fallen by more than 30%. It has become common for properties to go unsold for half a year or more.